tired. So tired. Overtired.
What's that? Do you see a podcast update in your feed? Well, that's because you're back on Overtired. And I'm Christina Warren, and I'm joined by Jeff Severns Guntzel and Brett Terpstra. What do you know? The whole gang is back together. Overtired, everybody.
Beep, beep, beep.
What?
Hi, everybody.
We need a party sound. We need a soundboard.
We do. Yeah, we need a soundboard. We need a soundboard, and we need a way to be like, what? Gang's all here. Some sort of we need a horn. That's what we need. We need one of those horns they play at football games.
I would like that very much.
Or that
Yeah.
like boo boo boo.
Exactly.
Yeah. That would really wake people up.
It really would, and especially all of us, because we're recording this earlier than we ever do. Brett's been up for a really long time, and I think Jeff is probably like raring to go. But I'm like,
I'm not raring to go, but I'm warming up.
Yeah, I've been up since like 5:30, so I'm okay too. But yeah,
I wrote an entire shortcut intense interface for my new app this morning, and it's actually working. I've never written for shortcuts before.
And you're going to talk to us about that, right?
Yeah, you got to talk to us
you
more about
about
that,
it,
because
yeah.
I want to hear more about that. But first, I think we should probably do because it's been a while since we've all been together. We should probably do a little bit of a mental health corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who wants to kick that off? Okay, fine, I will.
Mental health silence.
I my sleep has gotten a little worse than it was before when I told you it was bad. I'm back down to like 5 hours a night, and I just wake up at like 2 a.m. and like I go to bed by 8 or 9, and I get up at 2 a.m. every morning, and I just cannot for the life of me fall back asleep. And for like the first hour I'm up, I'm not even really awake.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sitting on the couch staring at my computer and not able to do anything. After about an hour, I'll get some coffee, I'll take my meds, and like then it's kind of like most people's like maybe 10 a.m., 11 a.m. By like 3 a.m. But it's still wearing me down. I've had back pain for a while now. I can't stand up for more than about 5 minutes, and I can't walk for more than 3 to 5 minutes, which has really put a dent in my ability to exercise. And so I finally got an MRI done, and they diagnosed me with stenosis, which I think is kind of a broad term, but like a couple of the discs in my lower back have collapsed, and they think I can be treated with shots and not surgery. So I'm hoping to get that figured out, because so right now we always go on walks in the wildlife refuge, like the wetlands refuge near us, and I love it. We see so much cool stuff there, and I hadn't really been able to, but what I found was this little, it's like folded up, it's like 2 feet tall camp chair, and it's like a camp stool. And so I carry that with us while we walk. And then like every 3 minutes, I'll like have to set it up on the side of the trail, sit. And if I sit for 2 minutes, the pain goes away. I can then walk again immediately. But like after 3 to 5 minutes, like my back freezes up, and I literally, I can't move anymore. So this little, carrying a chair and doing it in 3-minute stints has at least allowed me to get out and get some green time. But that's kind of where I'm at.
What does this little chair look like?
It's blue.
Uh-huh.
And it has 4 legs.
Uh-huh.
And it's canvas.
Is it like an adorable little camp chair that you're supposed to be able to like carry?
I think it's a
lightweight?
toddler's camp chair.
Excellent. This is the detail I was
like
for.
It's smaller than my butt. Like I'm perching on it, but it's enough to like get my back into feeling okay, and it's not too heavy to like carry.
Show art. But the art is you perching, just to be really clear.
Yes, my 280 pounds perched on a 2-foot camp stool. It'll be great.
Wow. Well, I'm glad there's something, like some kind of thing that makes it possible.
No,
to get
it's
out in
actually
the
really
world.
good. It's really good to get the stenosis diagnosis. And because for a long time, I just assumed because I gained weight, my back wouldn't work anymore, which
Yeah.
was depressing. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I've been this heavy before and I have not had this pain. And even after my first like 50 pounds sudden weight gain, I didn't have back pain. So it didn't make sense that my body just couldn't handle it. Like something else had to be going on. So it was actually much like any diagnosis, I think, other than, terminal illness. But for like ADHD or stenosis or any like mental health condition, it's a relief to get a diagnosis and find out you weren't crazy, you weren't
Yeah.
making things up. So yeah, I'm grateful.
No, I
That's
completely
great.
like can relate to that because when I like with my back or my cervical spine, it was kind of a similar thing. Obviously, mine was more acute and it was a different scenario because I got like the diagnosis relatively quickly, although it still felt like it took longer than I wanted it to get my MRIs and whatnot. But it was similar to you. It was like kind of a relief to be like, oh, okay, so you have like a major problem. This isn't just you being a wimp and
Yeah,
being
exactly,
in exhilarating
exactly.
pain, right? Like excruciating pain, right? And just even having that, even knowing, okay, I don't love that I have to go through this whole thing. I'm still like relieved to have a diagnosis and a plan
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
Oh, and also I'm on state healthcare, and that includes Delta Dental, but it's this weird version of Delta Dental that nobody in my town accepts.
Oh
So
no.
I have to drive 45 minutes to get dental care, and even then he can't do root canals or anything. And I needed 2 root canals, and that would have involved driving 2.5 hours or 3 hours and then going back to the 45-minute away place. And so what I did was I took the extra money I had saved outside of my like nest egg savings, but like my working savings, and I paid for a year of actual Delta Dental, and started going to a place just really close to me. And it turns out that the best dental health insurance is still shit. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how much dental work you guys get done, but
I keep my
It's
dentist
crappy.
busy.
it's a racket. And I actually watched a
It
YouTube
is.
video on why dental insurance is a scam, and it like interviewed dentists who actually take these like Delta Dental and the Medicaid dentists. And it is truly a scam. And what I found, and this is much the same experience Christina talked about with her MRI, I think it was, that you did a
Yep.
cash pay.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to the dentist and I said, do you have a cash pay discount? And he's like, oh yeah. And basically I can just pay cash and do everything for about 60% of the normal cost. And that is better than what Delta does for me in most cases. Plus I need so much work that my $2,000 cap
You
with
hit your
Delta
cap.
is gone.
Well, I was gonna say, like, so when I joined Microsoft used to have really good dental insurance. Respectively speaking, as good as it can be, but there were still, caps on how much work would be done. But I found like a good person to go to because I had an incident about a year after I moved to Seattle, maybe less than that, where I had to have an emergency root canal, and like that sucked. Like I went into a normal dentist, she was like, this is what you need, and then I had to like take an Uber like over to a guy
Yeah.
and see him like that day at like 5
Yeah.
p.m. and I'm like, all like drugged up and getting the root canal, and that was not great. And I needed a lot of work done, and so we split it over. Like she was a really good dentist, and so we split it over. We were like, I was coming close to the end of the calendar year. So she was like, okay, we're going to do all of this work, and then we will start the next year when things go forward. And like, she knew how to play the system and was like a really good dentist. Well, then I went to GitHub. GitHub used, Delta Dental, and that can vary based on plan. Microsoft is apparently on them too. Google also had them on a slightly different plan. And it's like, you never know what you're getting. And yeah, to your point, because if you need a lot of work done, if you have anything specialized, if you're lucky if you get the right plan and you can see a provider in your area, great. But if you don't, to your point, it is often, this is just fucked up. Like, especially if you're having to pay out of pocket for it anyway. If it's part of your employer, benefits, maybe it's a little different. But it's like, even then, it can still wind up being less expensive to just pay the cash stuff than whatever your deductibles are, which have a cap anyway. And
Right.
and then the way that the Medicaid or even insurance pricing works, stuff that they might charge you a very nominal fee for like a cleaning or whatever or a cavity fill, is going to be, they're going to bill insurance like 3 or 4 times that.
Right, exactly. So I pay like $800 for a year of Delta, and that gives me basically $2,000 to work with, plus whatever price they can negotiate. But like you said, like they bill 3 times.
Right.
So like what still comes out of my like $2,000 pot is higher than I would have paid with cash.
If you just paid cash, if you just
And,
had an
yeah.
$800 budget, or if you got that's the thing. Okay, this is an AI app that somebody should build, and I'm saying this hoping that maybe some in the audience will, or maybe one of us could vibe code it, because this seems like this would be a relatively easy calculator to do with like certain providers if they list their things where you could like run the costs and be like, okay, this is I'm going to put in this number, this is what my providers fees are, this is what my insurance thing is,
and this is what my cash pay discount
this is what my cash pay is it cheaper for me to spend $800 a year on Delta Dental or to just pay cash directly with my dentist?
As I've said to people who have pitched ideas to me in the past, you're talking about a spreadsheet.
Yes, it is a spreadsheet. To be completely yes, but I can now use Claude code to figure out the formula for me. Is the real thing.
Yeah, there you go. All right, who's up?
Dr. Toof. I can talk. I'm doing really well. We're a couple months past the Operation Metro Surge stuff here in January and February and a little bit of December, but really January. And that was, I never kind of experienced like a full taxing of every single person and kind of person I knew, and which was amazing. And it took a minute when things settled here, for everybody to kind of figure out how to just even enter into the world every day, because everything had been driven by what was happening on a almost hourly to hourly basis for some time. And so I kind of moved through that period, which was like quite a sort of come down of adrenaline and amygdala sparking, and have kind of smoothed a little bit, and I'm just doing well. I'm having a nice go of it right now.
Good.
I guess that everything's relative, right?
Yeah, everything's relative. Yeah. But I think I would call this a nice go of it, even outside the context of comparing to Operation Metro Surge.
Well, I'm happy for you. That's awesome.
I think actually the last time I was on the podcast was with you, Christina, in January, right after we had a raid in our alley, which was even before the surge began.
Even before the big surge, even before
kind of an early start.
I was going to say even before, like, I don't even know if the murder had happened.
No, it had not at all. In fact, we only had 100 extra ICE agents here at the time. And within a couple of weeks, there'd be a woman in front of my house being pulled out of her car because she was following ICE agents and throwing me her phone as she gets tossed into a fucking ICE truck. And like, it was just, everything happened so fast and so slowly all at the same time. And obviously there's still all sorts of stuff going on, but it is indisputably not what it was in January and February.
I was going to ask you about that because, like, the total number of deportations is only slightly lower right now than it was during the surge. And they added like what 3,000 agents, and they removed like 800 of them. So
No, they've removed way more than that.
Hey, have they?
Oh yeah, we're down to. I don't want to say the numbers because I haven't looked at them. We're back down to like the high hundreds, and our baseline is like 125.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can tell.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you can tell. And I've been down to the Whipple Federal Building a few times, which is where ICE was kind of headquartered, and there's just the level of activity there is very low. They had some new vehicles come in at one point about a month ago, but mostly those are replacing rentals that they were using. So it wasn't like people took it as kind of an indication that they were, staffing up or suiting up again, but it was really just kind of replacing their really weird, like sort of duct tape together invasion. It's kind of like in Iraq when they decided they were going to actually armor the Humvees. It was just kind of like a little bit of a switch of vehicles. But yeah, it's much different. And like, all the people either in my life or in my community that were in hiding or not, I mean, for the most part, not in hiding anymore, vulnerable folks and undocumented folks. And so it's like, it's qualitatively and nervous systemly different.
Yeah.
For everybody. And still sucks. And there's still a risk and a threat and a horror and a terror.
Yeah. Down here in southern Minnesota, I have not gotten a call to do a food delivery or a grocery delivery for a couple months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it really has calmed down across the state.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, who knows what they're up to that isn't as visible, but thank
God.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, and I actually just had my brother's been in town, and every time someone kind of comes to visit, they want to like, kind of hear or take in what the thing was, and you start describing it again. And now it just, I mean, it felt like a dream at the time. It just felt like, how could this be real? But you were just so in it, like every single person, like you said, Brett, like people were doing grocery deliveries, or people were, cooking food for the people that were kind of on the front lines, or you were following ICE, or you were dispatching people to follow ICE, whatever it was. Like every single person I could think of was doing something. And so when you try to describe it now, when you look around, especially in my neighborhood where they were all over, it seems like, was this real? Like, was it even real? Because like, I don't know, like the end here, because this could go on forever, but I don't know if any of you saw the footage that went around of a high school called Roosevelt High School, where Bovino showed up, and there was all this crazy shit, and the footage of this went around the country, and like it was reposted by freaking everybody. That was my son's school in my neighborhood. And so like, it was just this constant thing of like, Bovino's at my son's school, Bovino's at my gas station. Like, it was just utterly insane. And now, and every street felt almost, you could feel ICE on the streets. Like you would see ghost cars where they had taken people or whatever. You could like feel them on the streets. And so you walk around the same streets now, and it's just birds and kids playing. And you're just like, was that real?
There was a tow truck driver that was interviewed who had taken it upon himself to tow those ghost cars for free back to their origin.
Yes.
And just like leave them for people,
or at least, or he would take them in and not charge if you came in for them. And and that's just it. Everybody, it was incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, right. I genuinely hope that they've lost interest and have moved on to other things.
Like Seattle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Seattle is obviously a very different situation, and that had a long-standing, I think, impact. And I said this at the time. People who made that really bad were the activists who came in outside, the so-called activists, I'm putting that in quotation marks, who came in, who didn't even live in the city and agitated things and made things way worse than it should have been. But I hope that it's like Seattle, that it just kind of falls, like that the government doesn't come back and continue this, reign of terror.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll be quick. So I had surgery since I guess the last time I was on. That went well. The surgery itself, I'm still in some pain in my shoulder after the surgery, which was not like you were fixing my cervical spine, but they, I guess, however it worked, like I think is muscular. I've been going to PT for the last few weeks, but I'm still having some shoulder pain. That's getting better. The hardest thing was actually some of the medication stuff. So gabapentin, I know it's a lifesaver for a lot of people. I don't have a good reaction to it. Like, I'm one of those people, like, it makes me feel kind of loopy. I don't like it. B, it's very difficult for me to sleep on it, which is a problem. And, but the big thing is it just kind of makes me feel like I'm not kind of in my own head. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, altered on it, I would say. And so I went off the gabapentin, and no one told me, and I am going to put this as a PSA out there because I know a lot of people will take it. Do not go off of that cold turkey. They didn't tell me that, which someone should have, but no one told me that. And it can actually cause seizures if you do other things. But in my case, the real thing was that I had withdrawal that was some of the worst withdrawal I've ever had in my life, ever.
Wow.
And it awful, to the point that to go off the gabapentin, and they had me on like a decent dosage, it took me a month because I had to keep going basically down like one pill like every week to step down. But I mean, I was getting, like hot and cold sweats, like feeling like my teeth were gnashing, like nauseous, just like awful stuff. So it took me a month to go off of that. I had to extend my medical leave in part because of the medication withdrawal stuff, because I was like, I can't go back to work if I'm going to be like still dealing with medication bullshit. So that was actually, in some ways like more of an issue than like recovering from the surgery itself, which was major. Like I tried to kind of downplay like what it was, but it was major surgery. And I'm glad that it's over. So, onwards and upwards. I've been back at work for a couple of weeks. Still kind of settling in on that, but yeah.
Wow, man. Woof.
That withdrawal sounds terrible. Usually you have to do opiates to get that kind of fun.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I saw somebody on Reddit, which of course is anecdotal, and I don't usually look for this stuff, but sometimes you just want to feel like, okay, is it common for me to have this withdrawal or not? And somebody on one of the subreddits was like, this was worse than coming off of heroin, and in a jail cell, and I should know because I've done that. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to equate it at that level, for me, but it was definitely like that bad. It was, let me put it this way. It was bad enough that at first I thought it was the opiate withdrawal because they gave me some OxyContin. And then the doctor was like, no, that's not a high enough dosage. This is, it probably was gabapentin. And it what pissed me off is that one of the physician's assistants or whatever, when I'm telling like my doctor about this, I'm like, okay, if I need another nerve drug, then we need to find something else. I can go on Celexa, I can go on, something else, but I clearly can't stay on this. They kind of gaslit me because I'm a woman and obviously my pain and my symptoms can't be real. So that's like number one. And that's just a fact. I don't care if you're a male or a female doctor. They don't take you seriously. I've complained about that before. B, like she had the nerve to say, she was like, well, if the withdrawal is that bad, then why don't you just stay on the medication? It's not that, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. It makes me feel altered. You're telling me that it's for nerve pain, that my nerve pain should be fixed. If my nerve pain isn't fixed, and if I need something for nerve stuff, then that's one thing. And we could maybe look at an alternative, something that doesn't make me feel loopy and lets me sleep. But if your suggestion is, oh, to avoid the bad withdrawal, just stay on the drug, I'm sorry, what the fuck are we doing? And then the doctor's like, well, we get this all the time. We never see side effects. And then I looked it up, in the actual drug literature, and no, there are side effects exactly like the ones I experienced. So I was like, I recognize that I always am usually that like 1 percentile person who gets like the weird side effect. Like that's who I am. I get that. But
you're not crazy. I've gone off of gabapentin. It sucks. You're not crazy at all.
Yeah, but it just was frustrating to me that like the suggestion was like, well, just stay on it. It's like, no, like that's not actually going to be a thing anyway, but onward and upward.
Yeah. Wow. I'm glad you're through that. Like super glad you're through that.
Me too. Okay, well, I know we have some other topics we want to get to, but before we do that, let's take a moment to talk about our sponsor of today's episode, OneSkin. So, I've gone through a number of different things with my skincare routine over the years, Some have been more effective than others. You know, my skin kind of goes back and forth between being too oily and too dry. I'm kind of in a dry phase right now. And there are tons of products out there that promise results, and then you get them and they don't necessarily work. So I want to talk to you about OneSkin, which was founded by scientists and it's dedicated to longevity. And the brand is actually committed to being real science over marketing hype. And so what they wind up, how this works is that they use OS01, which is a proprietary peptide, which is designed to help deactivate the damaged cells that contribute to aging skin. And I've been using OneSkin for a little bit, and I'm liking it. I like how it makes my face feel. I like the fact that it's, you know, what the peptides are supposed to do is help basically support collagen production and strengthening the skin barrier. I'm not alone. There are over 10,000 five-star reviews, and there's validation from clinical studies, and it's making a name for itself in the skincare industry. So if you are interested in trying OneSkin for yourself, you can get 15% off your order with the code OVERTIRED at oneskin.co/overtired. That's 15% off at oneskin.co/overtired, and use that code OVERTIRED. So thank you, OneSkin, for supporting our show, and check them out.
Awesome. Can I tell you about Terminal Widget?
Terminal
Yes,
Widget.
please.
Yeah, set it up. Terminal Widget.
So-
Brett Terpstra. What's happening?
So I had scripts running in the background, and I wanted a quick way to check them, and I thought it should be easy to put script output into a widget on the desktop. And I could not find anything that actually worked. Like Shellfish has a widget, but it takes minutes to update, and it's flaky, and the other apps out there did not work for me. So I thought I would build my own. So I think I started it a month ago. I built just something for you can run a terminal command and update a progress bar or an image or like sparkline text or just straight up text output from your terminal, all kinds of charts and everything, and it updates instantly on your desktop with like a 0.5 to 1 second delay, which I wasn't able to find anywhere else. I had to like use JSON payloads and like basically a CloudKit watcher. CloudKit because I did also port it to iOS, and so I can run one command in my terminal or from a script in the background and have my iPhone and my desktop update with progress. I am working on a watch version of it that is not, I have it working in the app, but I want to make it so it works as a complication. That's going to take a little more doing. But this morning and yesterday, I spent working on the AppleScript and shortcuts interfaces for it. And I hate designing AppleScript dictionaries because there's no standard for like terminology, and there's no like golden way to do it. And I always end up messing it up even when I do have a plan. This time, I think I actually succeeded in building out a dictionary that makes semantic sense and is somewhat predictable if you've ever written AppleScript before. But I also added all of the widgets can be controlled from shortcuts. You just drag in like a chart widget into your shortcut and pass in like a value or like a chart of values. It can do matrices and sine waves and line graphs and bar charts, and it's pretty nuts. You can check it out. It's not available yet, but all of the documentation and all of the screenshots are at terminalwidget.app. And I'm pretty impressed with myself. And that's what I've been working on while waiting for Mark 3 to make it through App Store reviews so I can finally publish that. My latest rejection, first, I got rejected like a couple legitimate concerns, but then I had a CLI that I wrote that was embedded in the app bundle, and there was an option to create a symlink. in your terminal to use the CLI. And this was just a convenience method for, like, you give it
And-
command line flags and it
right.
converts it into URL handlers.
Yeah,
And
and
they
and
rejected me for
I was
that.
gonna say they don't let you do that. Like what I've seen with other apps do is usually there's like a in the App Store is that usually you have to download a helper to install the
Right.
CLI.
Right. So what I did to get past the rejection was completely rip out the binary from the bundle. If you go to the install CLI tool menu item, it simply takes you to a web page where there's a notarized signed PKG file, or you can install from Homebrew, but it's completely separate from the App Store. And the last rejection said that I was requiring users to download an external app in order to use the app, which is ridiculous on its face. Like it's a convenience method. In no way do you need to download it. There's no requirement. In fact, it's almost buried that you would even want it. And so I argued with the reviewer for a couple days because they were replying like once a day. And then they told me I had to go through the appeal process. So I submitted an appeal at 4:50 this morning. We'll see how long that takes now. But in the meantime, Terminal Widget is keeping me sane. I'm having a lot of fun with that.
I have some Terminal Widget questions.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the site right now. So talk to us about your initial use case, like which you've kind of described already, which is you just want to be able to check on these scripts running. Right?
Yeah, I just wanted a progress bar.
But then Brett Terpstra kicks in because like I just wanted a progress bar, and now I'm looking at all the flags and everything else that you could have. I'm curious, like of all of the options that are in there, I want you to just share something that might not be intuitive, we might not guess you can do, and then I'm curious of like if you have something you're like, and what I really want it to be able to do is.
So you can pass it up to 100 numbers, like a list of space or comma separated numbers that you can output from whatever script you're developing, and you can have it output a sine wave or a waveform. I like the waveform visualization for it, and so you can get like pretty cool visualizations out of like tabular data basically. And I also just added tabular, like you can give it a CSV file and it'll generate a table for you. And it really only works well on like the large widget size. But on both iOS and Mac, the tables look pretty good.
Nice.
That's awesome. I have a nerdy, but less nerdy question. On the terminalwidget.app website, you have like a video of showing off like your terminal app open and the text being typed out. What did you use to create that? Did you use Remotion or did you use something else to generate the video?
I scripted that.
Yeah,
I wrote it. There's a helper
script. Charm or something.
No.
Okay.
It's a helper script that it clears the screen and then it takes a table of commands and it types the command out with like a jitter delay so it looks somewhat natural like typing, and then it actually runs the command in the background, and then once the command's finished it clears the screen and does the same thing with the next one. So I can just feed it like a file with all the commands I want to run, one per line, and it just types them out and executes them.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I know, like I looked into like using like Askinema, and it just to get that kind of really smooth, rapid typing out of it without all the backspaces and everything. I found it difficult to program it, to code it, and by the time I had it figured out, I figured I should just write my own script for it.
Yeah, there's a service called Remotion, which can do some of that sort of graphical work, which is what I thought you might have used at first. Charm has a thing called VHS, which is basically like a CLI home recorder, which is pretty cool. And I've used that before, but yeah, I was just kind of curious what you did. But yeah, you just built your own. That's awesome. Very cool.
Very cool.
Now for your when do you think, like, because I noticed that you have like for blog book and for terminal widget, you have like coming soon. Is that like because you're still kind of like working on stuff, or are you going through review hell with those as well?
I haven't even tried getting either of those reviewed. Blog book is approved for test flight. And anyone who wants in on that can just contact me. It is getting the slowest development out of all my projects right now, just because it's a more niche app that I don't think is going to make a ton of money. But Mark III is where most of my effort is going. Then I'm working on porting Mark III's StoreKit stuff into NV Ultra. And then I can focus on trying to usher Terminal Widget through app review. I have a feeling that's going to go very poorly, and I may end up just releasing outside the App Store. But because it has an iOS component,
I was going to say, well, the iOS component is the hard part.
I kind of have to. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because like, I mean, I guess what you could do is if you did something for the iOS app would make it different, though. Like if it's just, because I'm sure it's working out. It's pretty much just a remote instance that's showing.
No, it's a.
You built in your own terminal emulator into it?
No, there's no. There's no terminal in this app at all. Like you use it from whatever terminal or from shortcuts. So it's all native widgets on both.
Right. I was just saying in terms of the App Store thing, like I guess like since there's not a native terminal on iOS, I'm assuming that it's a remote widget is what I was trying to get at.
Essentially, yes. But if you write a shortcut on iOS that updates the widget, it updates both iOS and macOS. So it is usable entirely. You could just buy it for iOS and it would be a functional app.
Okay.
But I do intend, I hope, to sell it as one universal bundle. So you pay like $9.99 and you get the iOS, the Mac, and the Watch app without having to buy for every platform separately. I just don't see it being like such a valuable app that it's worth making people go through that rigmarole. I think it's very cool. And everyone I've shown it to so far has been excited about it. And the most common response I get is, I will buy this as soon as I figure out what I would use it for. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Okay, fine. Awesome. And can you talk about how, because the whole world now works in Markdown, Marked has gotten a bump? That's an amazing story.
Well, yeah, it was a few months ago now, maybe 6 months. My sales just started increasing, and I was looking everywhere through all my traffic and all my logs to figure out where these people were coming from. And it was eventually pointed out to me that if you ask any AI agent what you should use to view Markdown,
hell yes,
they would point you to Mark II. And it was now for the last 5 months, it's been doing 5 times the sales year over year, what it was doing.
How close is it to the highest it ever was?
The highest it ever was actually when it was only $2.99, and Gruber wrote about it back in, this is like 2000. This was over a decade ago. Yeah. And back when like one tweet from Gruber meant like success. And that that year I made almost $100,000 on it.
Dang. Wow.
This is nowhere near that. This is doing like maybe,
but it's a highly unexpected bump, right? Like in a delightful bump.
Yeah, it's doing without even releasing Mark III, I'm making about half of my former salary off of it.
Nice. I'm happy for you.
Also, 1 year, in 2 days, I'll be 1 year out of Oracle. And I'm quite happy about it.
That's great. I was wondering about that.
I don't miss my corporate job. I miss some aspects, health insurance, paychecks, things like that. But
things
as
that
far
aren't
as-
at all about the content of the job, right?
Well, like that
Right.
stuff has never mattered all that much to me if I'm happy doing the work, and I really wasn't happy doing the work.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing. I'm glad things have been going well. I'm glad that the agents have been telling everybody about Mark II. Hopefully, they will also tell them about Mark III.
My dentist was doing small talk with me, and he knows I'm a app developer, and he asked me, "So how many hours a week do you work?" And I happened to know the answer because I had just read my timing.app report for last week, and I said 90, and he said, "Oh wow, how much do you make?" And he's like, "If you don't mind me asking." So I told him, and it saying it out loud, it's basically like $20 an hour I get paid. And like, it's not nothing, but once these apps are out and I can sit back and just make some passive income off of it, I will be much happier.
So it's 90 because you're developing multiple things right now,
Yeah.
and you love it.
I'm pretty much on my machine all day except for like an hour for like getting out, exercising, getting on my recumbent bicycle, and an hour for eating.
Is it time for you to get a trike? I'm serious.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
actually want to try just getting back on a regular bicycle. But like a recumbent tricycle. That'd be pretty awesome.
My dad uses them. He actually just converted one to an e-bike. Plus, it's hot now because of DTF St. Louis.
Right.
Awesome. Is that it for your app development? Because wow, that's like quite a deal. You got anything else in the cooker?
Well, like we talked about blog book, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I got.
Nice.
That's my big ones. NV Ultra is literally only waiting on me to get Mark III out, and then NV Ultra will be out, and it is well past a time when it would have been a smash hit. When NV Ult first started dying before something like Obsidian really took off.
I was going to say Obsidian is unfortunately kind of
they
took
Obsidian and 5 or 6 other apps have really eaten up market share for NV Ultra, but it would be nice just to get it published. I have been talking about a replacement for NV Ult for over a decade. And
right.
Am I going to get sued if I say this is not your fault?
It's not my fault. Like, none of them have been my fault. Like, they've all fallen through on me. But I think people don't believe me anymore when I say it's coming. In fact, if you ask an AI agent, they will tell you that NV Ultra is Vaporware.
Well, look,
thanks a lot, AI.
I mean, look, at this point, even though, it's been in beta and you've had other things going on, I mean, like again, it wasn't your fault, but we've all been in those situations where you're like, it's coming, or this thing is like at a certain point, you're like, okay, like.
Yeah. Well, there was BitWriter.
It becomes TextMate too.
BitWriter was one that preceded NV Ultra. And I was working on that with David Halter, who was a co-contributor on NV Ult. And he disappeared. I don't know if he died or what, but about 7 years ago, he just stopped replying to emails, disappeared off of Slack, disappeared from the internet. I don't know his next of kin. I don't have anyone I can like ask, hey, whatever happened to David? So if you're out there, if you're listening, I'd love to hear from you, just to know you're alive, just to check in. I've actually had a few people disappear over the last couple months that it's been disconcerting when you're used to hearing from someone at least, once a week even, but some of these people were like every day.
Hearing from them meaning seeing them somewhere or corresponding or
online. These are people I only know online.
Yeah, right.
So like seeing them on Mastodon or Facebook or getting emails or text messages from them. A couple of them were in their 80s or 90s, And so it's not
That might be your
Right.
problem.
it's not out of the realm of the possibility that they have passed on. But some of them were younger than me, and one of them has come back after 2 weeks of messaging like every other day, like, "Hey, are you okay? Haven't heard from you." Finally, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm here," and offered no explanation for where they'd been or why they went silent. But I didn't pry either, so.
What is your project with Dan Peterson? That's on our
Oh,
list.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say a lot about it, but I've been working. Dan Peterson is the original designer of 1Password and worked with them for like 20 years before he struck out on his own. And we've teamed up. We're working on a couple things, but one is an iOS app that he has put in. I don't even know how many hours into the design of it, like 3D modeling, spline rendering, and then we ported it into an iOS interface, and it is gorgeous. When it gets to market, which we're hoping to have it in test flight in time for Mac stock in July. It'll be the best looking app I've ever been a part of. It's gonna be so cool.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Busy time.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
What else we got? I mean, Brett, you showed up with a big list.
I was gonna say, anybody watching anything good on TV or rewatching anything?
I have a serious complaint to put into the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've avoided the Pit for a long time, just because I'm not a huge
medical drama.
It is great, except are there two separate writing teams for the stars and staff and the people that come in as patients? Because the writing for the people that come in patients is awful. The acting sometimes too. Sometimes there's some people that sell it. I'm only through season 1. But I was like, I have been yelling at the TV about this for some time. Besides also yelling at the TV for the point at which our young friend with the W as a last name, Whitaker, who gets blood all over his face and then they don't actually immediately clean it up. So I yell at the screen, and I like the show, but I haven't had a TV show that I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Now, I mean, I can handle that in The Walking Dead. I can handle that in that kind of movie. But in the ER thing, I'm like, come on, you can't get a writer to handle the patients? I don't understand. You've got an incredible cast, like an incredible cast.
It's actually all ad-libbed.
It's all ad-libbed. Like the clown. There's a clown. I won't give it up, but there's a clown that has been through a mass event, and he's in the ER with his clown makeup on still, and some blood going down his face. And at some point, he looks around and he goes, "What a circus!" I don't understand. This confuses me very much in TV shows when you're like, okay, you've got a great writing team, but clearly you have a separate writing team that is doing just this little job that is actually quite important. So that's my complaint about the Pit. Otherwise, I like it quite a bit. I'm very excited to start season 2, probably this weekend.
It's a good season. It's a good season.
I hear that.
Yeah, because it ended last week, and I'm a big fan of the Pit. I will say this. The Pit fandom is insane, and not in a good way. Like, these are people who don't understand how to watch television shows and don't understand like how television shows work, and then also become very entitled about like how like their vision of the characters and things should be on a level. Like, the last time I've seen it, it's the same. It's similar to Heated Rivalry, but it's somehow worse because this isn't like a genre show like that. It's like low quality for like, you know, middle-aged like white women in the suburbs who just like to see two hockey players, you know, fuck. Like the Pit is actually like, I'm not going to call it prestige TV because it's not ER level, but it's a very good show and it's extremely well acted. And I think the writing, I think you make a good point about the patients not getting as good of storylines as the doctors, but
oh no, I don't need storylines. I just need the 5 words they speak.
No, that's what I mean. Like that. I hear your critique on that.
Because where there's a patient storyline, those are almost exclusively great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Since
sorry.
you're more
Go
talking
ahead.
about like the kind of the background characters,
Yep.
like kind of like the one-offs. Yeah, I think that's fair. Well, a lot of the writing staff and like executive producers are doctors or people who have like, you know, worked extensively in healthcare. And
Yeah.
so I wonder if like that's kind of part of it. Where like
they're
just,
really good at writing the doctor's parts. They're not so good at putting
so
if they're-
good.
they're
Oh
just-
my
the
God.
patient's
So
they're
mouth.
so
good.
good at doing the doctor's parts and the procedures. Like they want to be medically accurate and like
So
they
good.
really are committed to that. There are a couple of, I'm trying to think, the Whittaker thing. I think that was just, I enjoyed that myself. Like the fact that he's always getting blood on him.
Oh,
or
I
some sort of
loved the
bodily
bit.
fluid.
I just
Like, it's
couldn't
very
believe
funny.
that. I couldn't believe that through quite, you know, a couple of different bits after that, the blood's still on his face. I'm like, there has to be a protocol to get blood off your face.
No, there definitely has to be. But I mean, also one of the running gags for season 2, and sorry for spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the Pitt season
Oh, wait,
1.
I'm going to close my ears. Okay, go ahead. Wave when you're done.
Robbie can't pee. And this wasn't a real spoiler, but like, but one of the things is like, you know, Robbie's never able to like go to the bathroom. Like he can never find a way to pee. So
I'm back.
We're over.
You're safe now.
Okay,
I'm back.
You're safe, and I didn't spoil anything. I was just
The other thing I will say
you've already seen
about
it.
the Pit that surprised, I did not watch ER, and not because out of bad attitude. It was just a point in my life when I wasn't watching a lot of TV.
Right.
I also didn't realize until I was like 5 episodes in that Noah Wyle was a big character on ER. I think it's really cool.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I understand you weren't watching TV then, but how did you not realize that Noah Wyle was like?
I didn't
one
know
of the
Noah
main
Wyle's name. Like this is just not, I don't hold names of people. I
Fair,
also
I
on the
guess.
albums I love that I don't remember I don't know song titles half the time. So I don't mind. You can be very disappointed and express it, and I will accept it. I will receive it.
No,
I
I'm just
will
shocked
try to be
because I was like 10 years old when ER came out, and like I don't know, like they were like that was the #1 show on television for like
Totally. And I
years
mean,
and years
Clooney,
and years and years
come
and
on.
years.
I know Clooney.
Well, of course, Clooney, but it was Clooney. It was but like the original. It was Clooney. It was Sherry Stringfeld. It was Eric LaSalle. It was Juliana Margulies. It was Noah Wyle, and it was Anthony Edwards. So like coming into
my
the show,
favorite
ironically,
Timberwolf.
I was gonna say, ironically, going into when ER came out, like the name was Anthony Edwards. Like he was like #1 on the call sheet, right? Like Clooney, I think was like 4. And then Clooney, because he's a good guy, like blew the fuck up, and then still did them a solid and did like a full freaking 5 years on that show.
Which is awesome.
He did not David Caruso it. Like David Caruso famously like had one, big season of NYPD Blue, fucks off to go do a movie career. The movie career implodes. There's a clause in his contract because ABC was so furious about the way he quit NYPD Blue that they were like, okay, well, you can't do any television for X number of years. And then his movie career dies, and then he has to like come like hat in hand to like CSI Miami.
Yeah. Well, I love the Pit, and this thing that surprised me is the thing I always stayed away from is like, I can handle gore in almost every context except real life. And so like, I can do all the gore of The Walking Dead. I can do all the gore of Game of Thrones or something. But like, I was like, I don't know if I want ER gore. I love it. I mean, I love it because I'm fascinated. I'm just fascinated. I'm like, oh, that's what it looks like when you do that. Like, right? Like you just snip the fingertip off. That's what it looks like when you do that. Like, so the first
and
half,
show some of the stuff.
The first half, I did this every time. I covered my face whenever it was like that. And then all of a sudden I could handle it. And I was like, this is fascinating. This is totally fascinating.
What episode are you up to? How many do you have?
I only have 15 left. I have the last episode left.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And unfortunately, like we've had like my brother's been, we had stuff every night until late for like 3 or 4 days. And I'm so ready to watch that thing. And now my wife's going out of town, so I'm not sure we'll even see it for another week. It's making me crazy.
Oh, are you watching it together and you have to wait for her?
Yeah, well, and sometimes it's easy for us to find a show together, and sometimes there's just a long dry spell, and so it's also just like nice. It's just nice to have a show together always. And so it's the combination of like that's just nice to do, and I'm right at the end, and I'm just ready to see.
Right, and you just want to do that together. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you'll think of season 2. It's different in some ways. It doesn't have like the I'm not spoiling anything, but like it doesn't have like a big like catalyzing event like season 1 does. But I still think it's really good TV, and definitely one of my favorite shows. Hacks is back for its final season. That's definitely one of my favorite shows.
That
Which
season
I never
looked
watched.
good. I finished season 1 I think there's 3 seasons, or is there more?
5. It's
5.
now in its 5th season. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I finished season 1 and then kind of forgot about it, and then I just saw some trailers for the new season and thought, "Oh, I should get back into this." It looks like it looks like it did well.
It did.
Shrinking,
No, I mean, Shrinking, yeah.
I was going to say the new season of Shrinking is really good too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Bill Lawrence is who created that, and he created Scrubs and Spin City and some other things. Like he's really, really good. He also did Rooster, which is now on HBO Max. But the Scrubs revival, speaking of new shows, I don't know if it's going to get like renewed because it hasn't been renewed yet, and so I'm a little bit concerned that it hasn't been renewed yet. And they only did 9 episodes for the first season, but the Scrubs reboot, revival, whatever you want to call it, and I say this as somebody who was a huge Scrub fan, I don't consider the final season to be Scrubs. Like that is not part of canon to me.
Real.
Like I feel like that wasn't it. But I thought they actually did an amazing job with the reboot. Like I actually, and it was hard for them too because John C. McGinley is on Rooster and Judy Reyes is on High Potential. And so, the only main characters from the original that they have back in every single episode are Elliot, JD, and Turk. But and then you see, kind of like Carla just isn't in the office sometimes, but she has some guest appearances. But they actually managed to do this. They managed to do like a next generation type of story, but still focused on like the main characters you love, but still kind of bring in like new younger doctors in like a way that I'm genuinely really impressed with how they did it. And like it kept the heart and kind of the feel of the original. Like I was very, very impressed that they were able to recapture what made that show so good for its, I guess they're calling it its 10th season, but I really hope that it comes back because that's a really good show.
Speaking of reboots, they're rebooting Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes, they did.
I haven't.
Yeah, they did a 4-episode thing.
But what I saw Hot Ones versus with Frankie Muniz and whatever Breaking Bad. What's that guy's
Bryan
name?
Cranston.
Bryan
Cranston, who was the father of Mel King on The Pitt.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, which is so cool. I love her so much.
But anyway, they're talking about why Dewey wouldn't come back. And basically he was like, I haven't acted since I was 9. He's like, he's busy. He's got a life now.
He's in grad school. Like he went to Harvard and stuff. Like he's like, which I love. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I would have loved to see Dewey too, but I don't blame him for being like, no.
Yeah.
Neither did the other actors, I don't think. I think it wasn't necessary to make the
no, I was going to say he wasn't
of the
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they were able to do Fuller House without the Olsen twins, who were a much bigger part of that show
Fuller
than
House
ever was. And I'm not even like defending Fuller House. Like it was fine. It was whatever. But like even that, you were like, there were enough characters where you're like, okay, so Michelle isn't here. And that would have been weird, to be honest. I don't think that, like, I know that everybody would have loved having the cameo, but it's like, how in the hell are you going to have the Olsen twins, like as adults, even in a cameo on Fuller House without just completely taking you out of the whole thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't be possible. But
should we try to fit in a graptitude before we all leave?
Graptitude?
Yeah, let's do a graptitude.
I can kick it off. I got one I'm excited about. Found this app called Bezel. I needed to do iOS screenshots and I needed to do iOS recordings. And I played around with using ScreenFlow and Screen Studio and Camtasia, and I didn't like any of the ways that they recorded iOS movies. And then I found Bezel, and I mean, so screen recording built into iOS, in my opinion, is better than any of the like screencasting apps can do. But Bezel, if you hardwire your phone to your computer and turn on screen mirroring, it can record perfect iOS recordings, and it's really good at just taking screenshots with a single key command. You get a screenshot with a bezel, like the outline of the phone, and a desktop background behind it. So I can just hit Command S as I like move through my phone, and then my right hand on my phone, my left hand on my keyboard, and I can get a dozen iOS screenshots in 5 minutes, and they're ready to go, like ready to publish. It's really nice.
That's really
Oh, that's
awesome. I'm
awesome.
gonna try that.
Same.
I love
Do
it.
you have one, Brett, or do you want me to, or Jeff, or do you want me to go?
I'm happy to go. So this is an easy one in a way, but I want to be specific about what's been so useful. So I've been using Claude Code and VS Code forever. I mean, for the last, I'd say 2 or 3 months, because I've got really, really deep into using Claude Code actually for qualitative work, but also a totally bananas project I built that has both a physical component and a heavy duty code component, which I'll talk about sometime. But I've used the desktop app for co-work and for like just the standard chat, and I've loved that, but I never used it for Claude Code until this latest update, which added like a really amazing interface for Claude Code, which is kind of my gratitude, is that tab of the desktop app, which like when you open it up, it gives you like just an awesome little like work summary of like how many sessions you've had, how many total tokens you've used, like overall the last 30 days, the last 7 days, what your peak hour is, your longest streak. It has the like GitHub like little chart that fills in. And that's like been really cool to see. And you can also see your usage of various models. It's just a nice little thing that pops up. And then when you're actually working, it's really amazing because you can pull up these sidebars that have like diffs or like a preview, or you can just get a terminal open in there. And I have loved that. I still like feel more at home in the VS Code version, and using it there, but I've really loved it. And I've also just like, I've gone really, really deep into Claude Code and like agent teams and all this stuff on work that I was already doing a lot, but then also just being able to like manifest things that I've had in my brain for a long time that are now just like everyday tools. So that's been really, really exciting. I think like my journey with AI has been well documented on Overtired, but like this is the first time that I've been in a situation where I'm doing more than like ideating, and I'm like landing things all the time, which is, I'm noticing from like my colleagues, not always easy, because you can just get lost in the cycle of ideating. And I am someone who traditionally does not land things easily unless there's like, now is the time that if I don't land this, it has professional consequences. Like, and then I land something and I'm very proud of it, whatever. But I have just been like, I want to execute this vision. And sometimes it's 40 hours of working with Claude Code to make the thing work. Like my crazy project I'm not talking about right now, just because it would take too long. But other times I'm done in an hour or whatever. And it's really changed my life, and also like makes my fear of AI super specific. And that is its own piece of doing this, like, because the AI conversation is often so kind of unsatisfying because it doesn't come with any experience of AI, but you don't need experience to have good reason to be afraid of it. But like using it and being excited about it, and then feeling weird about being excited about it, and then being like, fuck it, this is amazing. But also the deeper I get into it's like really like nuanced functionality, it's like, oh yeah, we're done, just it's, everything's done, everything's different, it's like fuck. But anyway, it's been helping me to bring some things to life that I've always, years I've been thinking about them, so that's been great.
Yeah, no, I share your concerns about AI. I think very, very similarly, and I obviously work on this stuff, and so I have very like complicated feelings about like getting excited by it, finding a lot of use cases, and also being like, yeah, this is changing things in a way that there are consequences for that. I don't know if society is prepared for. Like, it's certainly great for the huge frontier labs and major companies that are raising billions and billions of dollars, but what about like the rest of us? And it, what does it do to various things? But yeah, no, the Claude app is good, and I'm a good call out on their code tab.
They just developed that thing so quickly with Claude Code, I gather.
Of course.
Like it's developing so quickly, and it is always like serious value add.
Yeah. which is kind of part of their moat, right? Like they're trying to,
Right.
they want as many people to, pay them $100 or $200 a month as possible.
Yep. They got this
Okay. So my pick is Bookshelves, which is an app that I might have found it on Reddit, and I don't even like the Mac app subreddit because it's full of a lot of AI slop. And look, this is probably largely generated by AI. I don't really care. It's a good app. So Calibre, which we've talked about before,
Love
is an e-reading app.
Calibre.
I do too, but like it doesn't have the best interface, and it's kind of unwieldy. So Bookshelves, there's a free version for 10 books, but there's it's only $4.99. It's a one-time purchase. It's available in the App Store. It's available on iOS and on Mac OS. It will work as a OPDS server or whatnot, so you can like use it with a Calibre type of front end thing if you want to access your library that way. It doesn't support Calibre's library, but I think you can import books from that way. You can email books directly from your library to your Kindle or your Kobo or Pocketbook. It supports EPUB and PDF and Mobi and all the Amazon formats and the comic book stuff for native reading. I really like it. It's one of those apps that like because sometimes I'm just like the books app on is convenient because it will keep everything synced, but it sucks for anything else. And oftentimes you have things that are in formats that might not be that, or you want to store lots of books or search through various things. So if you're looking for a modern book reader app, or even just like a decent EPUB app on iOS, because there are not a lot of them, I would highly recommend Bookshelves.
Nice.
Awesome.
I should also mention there's an app called Book Reader, and it is designed for audiobooks. And so I've been finding there's some literature of the anarchist variety that you'll never find in any of the bookstores, but you can buy it through independent presses. And if you get the audiobook version, they usually send you like a folder of MP3 files, and I didn't know what to do with them. And Book Reader works on Mac OS and iOS, and you can just drag a folder of MP3 files and it'll generate a book with chapters for you that you can then listen to in the app. And that's been handy.
That's cool.
That's great.
Awesome.
All right. Well, hey, get some sleep.
Yeah, get some sleep, everybody. Great show. Great catching up with all of you.
Yeah, great to see you all get some sleep.
The system is going down now.